Hi, today's topic is acquisitions and mergers. Have you ever wondered why public companies or private equity firms pursue acquisitions and mergers? The first and most powerful reason is growth. Governments need growth or they are in recession. If businesses are unable to produce internally created growth, then they seek to buy growth. This is where business statistics really becomes beneficial. There is only 0.01% of public companies in Australia, which should indicate that only a select few ever make it through. In Australia, only 4 to 5% of the population know how to create turnover. There are only two ways to obtain turnover: buy it or create it. There are no other ways. Then, behind growth, closely followed are the concepts of economies of scale, which suggest that two are better than one, and synergistic benefits, which suggest that two can operate more efficiently than one. It is my belief that these benefits will never materialise due to the economic theory of diminishing returns. If you doubt this, you can undertake a study on any acquisition or merger and see if either ever ended up in a better place. The only one that loses is the shareholder or investor. So please read my chapter on the price you should never pay. So let's now assume two identical companies exist and one decides to buy the other. Now, I'm not a fan of balance sheet valuations, and the reasons are simple. Balance sheets do not reflect the truth. They contain current values, historic values, and non-market values. Others may see it differently. Now, let's assume that both companies are in the same industry, same size, same turnover. In fact, they're the same all over, same staffing, whatever. If one decides to buy the other, let's explore what happens. Now, the first balance sheet shows the position before acquisition. Total liabilities are only 27%, and owner's equity is 73%. Now, let's review the position after acquisition. Total liabilities are now 58%, and the directors may have breached loan covenants. But either way, when borrowings become too high, the availability of funds for future actions becomes nigh on impossible. Then, owner's equity or value takes a hit. Now only 42%, and previously was 73%. So who suffered due to this decision? And was it a good move? Checking balance sheet positions before and after will allow shareholders to score management. Now, if you look at the market value line, you will see that before the acquisition or merger, the shares of the purchaser or acquiring company was only 20 cents in the dollar. Yet they paid 50 cents in the dollar to acquire the business that is basically the same. Mergers and acquisitions nearly always occur with public companies and sometimes private equity firms. But they have limited targets because they are forced to act on flawed advice, and because they need to act quickly, and every time that happens, they remove one of the most powerful forces for negotiation, which means they will always pay more or a premium. In Australia, some years ago, a large public company purchased a small private business for $20 million based on the relief from royalty method of valuation. which has no bearing on market activity whatsoever. At the time of purchase, the tangible assets were $1 million, which equates to $19 million for goodwill. The net profit was only $100,000, meaning it would take 190 years to get your money back on a simplistic basis. There were no other players in the market at the time to create competition for the asset, and why in the world anyone would pay such a ridiculous figure when they held all the aces? If I were a shareholder, I would have been fuming and would want to get away from such management. Now, the definition of market value is it's the estimated amount for which an asset would exchange on the date of valuation between a willing buyer and a willing seller in an arm's length transaction after proper marketing, wherein the parties had each acted knowingly, prudently, and without compulsion. Obviously, this did not happen in the above case. That concludes today's presentation, and all of the above can be found in my book on Business Valuation Explained. Thank you.